We've got a few seats at the front if anyone wants any chairs. All good? Well, yeah, good morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I am WatchPro's editor. Thank you so much for coming to WatchPro's first ever Women in Watches initiative. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're delighted to have you today, and what a fantastic turnout in such a gorgeous location. So thank you so much. We chose the timing of this event to coincide with International Women's Day happening on the 8th of March. It's a moment to reflect on how far we've come, but also recognize the progress that still needs to be done. According to the Gender Intelligence reports, women hold 47% of non-management roles, yet only 22% of top management roles. Meanwhile, the World Economic Forum's 2025 data shows that women's representation in senior leadership has begun to decline, falling to 32.8%, which is kind of crazy in 2026. These figures reinforce what many of us already know, that progress is happening, yet not quickly enough. This mission is long overdue. It reflects WatchPro's commitment to championing leaders, innovators, and change makers who are transforming what has traditionally been a male-dominated sector. With this inaugural edition, Women in Watches, in partnership with eBay, marks the beginning of an ongoing commitment from WatchPro to spotlight talent, amplify voices, and help ensure that the next generation of leaders sees a more inclusive industry reflected back at them. Today, we have two exceptional panels that will explore how the industry can better support female talent while responding to the evolving dynamics of its customer base. We'll be discussing leadership pathways, representation at senior levels, pay equity, career progression, and what meaningful change really looks like in practice. Before I invite our first panelist to the stage, I would like to extend a sincere thank you to our headline sponsor, eBay, and event partners, Jewelers Mutual, who have kindly donated goodie bags fuel to grab at the end. They'll just be on the table over there where the food is being served. And JCK and Timepieces at Luxury, who are also our partners. And we'll be launching the Hot 100 in June, so later this year, in Las Vegas. And this event will celebrate 100 influential leaders who are shaping the industry. So do keep an eye out with that. We'll be sharing a lot more news online and in the magazine about this event. Without further ado, I'd like to bring our first panelist to the stage for our leadership and representation panel. So please join me in welcoming Susan Chandler, Chief Purchasing Officer for Citizen Watch America, Caroline Pullman-Joff, Director of Corporate Communications for this 1916 company, Taylor Lewis, Retail Store Manager at Time and Tide, and Alice Murphy, Luxury Marketeer. Welcome, ladies. Please grab a seat and a mic. Right. We all on? Are all the mics? Yeah, all good? All good. Perfect. I'd love to kind of kickstart this by if you could each briefly share your journey into the watch industry and what led you to your current role.
Great. Hi, guys. Hi, everyone. Delighted to be here. I'll probably start by saying I'm a year and a half in the watch industry, so I'm hoping I can bring a somewhat new and fresh perspective. I actually started in the spirits world, so I had an 11-year career with Pernod Ricard. I worked for them all over the world, including 4 years in Asia. And it was at the end of my year with Pernod Ricard that I worked on high-end Scotch, but a lot of high-end Irish whiskies. I'm Irish, if that wasn't obvious. And that's where I really got the bug for luxury specifically. So I felt like I was at the end of my spirits journey. I got tapped on the shoulder by a recruiter and asked to go out to Beverly Hills to work for a luxury dealership out there. They're called O'Gara, and they own Lamborghini, Beverly Hills, McLaren, Rolls-Royce, Bentley, Aston Martin. So I really got thrust into the luxury world in Beverly Hills. I have a lot of stories from there if you want to hear them afterwards. The role I'm in now, so the maison I work for now makes timepieces with the same carbon fiber that Lamborghini makes the cars out of. So that might give people an idea. I'm the marketing director of Courge de Buis, part of Richemont. So that was a nice natural segue into the watch space. And I've been here a year and a half, and Courge de Buis Maison's on an exciting journey. So yeah, I'm delighted to be here.
Amazing. Thank you. Taylor?
I actually started my journey in media sales. I was working for Australia's largest publisher. I'm Australian. We're very diverse today. And that was my first introduction into the watch world. My clients were Omega, Longines, and it was a wonderful woman working for Omega who said to me, "Why don't you come client side and start working in marketing for Longines?" And so I did, and I loved it, and I loved everything about the watch world. And I was lucky enough to be led by some incredible women while I was there. But I always wanted to move to New York. So I took a giant leap of faith and moved over here with no job, which I wouldn't recommend. And after a few months trying to find one, it was those same women who were able to put me in touch with the Swatch Group US. So I ended up working for Glasuto Original here in New York. And then 5 months ago, I got reached out to by Time and Tide, which is an Australian media company and now retail space in New York. And they said, "Do you want to come on board as the GM for the US?" So I actually look after retail, e-com, partnerships, events, the whole hodge for Time and Tide. And yeah, we've just opened a retail store in Soho about 2 weeks ago. So it's super exciting.
Don't think it was mine. Well, I think. So my journey in the watch industry began 20 years ago. Our company has gone through a lot of changes. So I'll start at the beginning. I started up as working for Danny Govberg in the distribution side of the business, the watch distribution company. Fast forward a few years and started doing the marketing and PR for Govberg Jewelers. Fast forward a little bit more. We launched Watchbox in 2017. Going to go back in time a little bit. I also ran IW Magazine for a good period of about 6 years and got to know a lot more of the industry from the media side and collectors and how the brand stories come to life. Okay, back to the other part. Concurrently was also doing the marketing and PR for Govberg. We launched Watchbox in 2017. Fast forward a few more years. And in 2023, we launched the 1916 company, came together with Govberg, Watchbox, Radcliffe, and Hyde Park Jewelers to really kickstart the next era of collectible watches and jewelry and so much more. And I've always been involved in the marketing and PR side, but I'm obsessed with anything that gets close to collectors and community and bringing things to life. And I love anything that brings energy to this space. So really, really happy to be here and to get to know everybody in this next chapter.
Is this working? Hello? No? Okay. Hi, I'm Susan Chandler. I'm the Chief Merchandising Officer at Citizen Watch America. I actually, rather deep into my career, found myself getting tapped by a recruiter saying, "Oh, shouldn't be scary for you. Let's get into the watch industry." And I've been in the industry for about 10 years. Prior to that, I have a pretty robust, over 25 years of experience in the jewelry world. And what I love is that while there's a lot of interesting things happening in jewelry, watches are equally fascinating. And it's been an incredible journey for me. I started my career in buying, so I have a little bit of very cross-section buying, working for smaller brands, larger brands. I worked for David Yurman. I worked in the bridal industry, engagement rings, diamonds, fine jewelry, as well as sterling silver and costume jewelry. But all of that kind of really led me to my watch experience, which I absolutely adore and love. So I can't wait to share more today with you all.
Amazing. Got such great panelists. Excited. So I'd like to kind of start the discussion by revisiting a statistic I mentioned earlier. Women hold 47% of non-management roles, but only 22% of top management roles. Have you seen meaningful progress in leadership representation during your career so far? Does anyone want to kickstart that?
I have noticed something. I guess being between two regions has been really interesting. And you might have a similar experience. In Australia, I was only working with female leaders. So my country manager and the Omega brand president at Swatch Group Australia was a female. The Longines brand president was a female. It wasn't until I moved to America, actually, which I hate to say, but everyone in top management that I've encountered here has been male. And it was a real stark observation by me. I have tried to surround myself with more women, and you and I networked very early on, because it's important that we do that. But yeah, I think it depends on the region. And I think although there's been progress, you can't see president hasn't been. There's many wonderful women leaders in this room. I do think we still have a long way to go, especially as a nation.
I'll build on that and give a similar kind of comparative answer. I was going to compare the spirits industry to the industry we're in now, because when I left the spirits industry, 50% of my C-suite at the top global level was female. All the leadership in Irish distillers on the other side of the pond was female. So it really was, an inspiring environment to be in. They had meaningful programs that kind of fast tracked you into management and leadership. And it's been quite, and I can only give a perspective from kind of a small corporate portion of the industry where I sit right now. But as I look around, it's male presidents, male CEOs, male CMOs. Yeah, it's a very stark contrast from my section of the watch industry that I'm in.
I'm going to chime in with something might not be working, but thank you. We're going to play musical microphones the whole time. I'm so proud of this part of our company story. But if you look across the entire company, we have over 40% female across the company. On our leadership team, it's 46% female. Two of my favorite leaders from our company are sitting back here with me. Mel is our new president of retail, and I think that is a really impactful thing within our company. We have over 500 people, and it's unbelievable to see the side of retail and interfacing with clients and collectors being represented. Elena runs our client experience team and events, and we're interfacing with some of the most interesting collectors around the world. I wish that I had a higher percentage of the top collectors around the world who are women, and hopefully we'll get there and grow that part of the collector sphere. But it's really interesting to see so many behind the scenes. We also have a woman who's running our service, watchmaking and service center. And the other part of our universe that I didn't yet mention was we have a majority investment in Debitoon. And there are a number of elite watchmakers who are behind the scenes and who are creating some of the most magical watches. And just seeing the talent there and how that is something that's organic and homegrown and really, really strong. I'm proud of our company in that sense, and hope it continues to grow.
Well, I'm actually really proud to say that working with Citizen has brought in many, many new experiences for me. And we actually have 50% of our C-suite are women. So they hold very, very important. Carla Wilkie's here today. She is our chief marketing officer. Our chief technology officer is a woman came through the jewelry industry. Our head of e-com is a woman. So we are just really involved in all of the day-to-day decisions, but really shaping the organization and what we want the organization to look like in the next 10, 15, 20 years. I also have to say that there's opportunity to continue to highlight women in very potentially unusual parts of the business. We have master watchmakers. The watchmeisters are women. And there's a big opportunity for this and thank you so much for putting this together, but for the whole industry to highlight some of the successes, but also how many women touch all of the product that we do every day.
That's amazing to hear, actually, like from the kind of retail and brand perspective, that there is great like female representation in the industry. But I kind of wanted to go back to what you were saying, Taylor, actually, that you kind of noticed that there is still like that bit of imbalance and potentially progress that needs to happen. Do you have any thoughts on the sort of like structural barriers that are in place that we need to fight against to bring women into senior leadership roles?
I'm going to try and say this nicely, but I'm just passionate about this in particular. The most obvious one to me, and in my experience, is probably the parental leave policy in this country. It's very different to what they offer in Europe, Australia, all around the world. Some companies don't even offer it in the States. And I think that that's probably the biggest barrier that women face, because I believe you can have a wonderful career, very successful, and also be a mother, but society right now in this country is not really allowing you to do both. You have to choose at the moment. So I think by hopefully one day changing the policy, we will see more women in leadership as a result.
Yeah, I was going to say, has anybody had to face that kind of balance of the family life and choosing your career as well? Like, have either any of you sort of experienced that, or like your colleagues experienced that?
I mean, I think that we have to encourage flexibility with our companies. COVID brought a lot of bad things, but it also brought some eye-opening things to the organizations to be able to allow people to have more flexible time. And I think as women leaders and women influencers in our organization, we have to continue to bring that up and make sure that our companies carry policies that can help women succeed, having flexibility, having different start times, leave times of the day is really important. And we all juggle a lot of things, not just families. So I think we have the voice and we need to put it out there.
Sure.
And I would just say that it's great that we have the voice. I think there is an aspect of allyship also that's needed as well. I'll tell you an anecdote. A good friend of mine is quite high up on Pernod Ricard in London, and she went on a work trip. They went to a beautiful part of Ireland. She was the only female just on that work trip from a leadership perspective. They kicked off the trip and they went out golfing. She doesn't golf, so all the men golf. The meeting that they were supposed to have later in the day, that they were all had traveled to Ireland for, those men had on the golf course and made a decision without her. And like, she's a strong leader. She really told them how she felt about it. But, there was a level of allyship that was needed there from those men in leadership to say, wait, we don't have everybody and all the decision makers in the room, and we're missing one very obvious one. So, yeah, I think there is an area of allyship that also needs to come through, and more forums like this, and the more we discuss it, the more it's in the ether, I think that it can only help.
For sure. Yeah, it's really interesting you say that, because the amount of kind of networking events I've been to and conversations that I've been in, and that kind of like, I guess, icebreaker sort of topics are always kind of like, oh, what sports did you see the other day? Well, how was the match? Or like, how was this? And things like that, which if that's not necessarily your hobby, which it wasn't mine, I was like, oh, I kind of feel a little bit ostracized in that conversation. Even small things like that as well really impact things. Yeah. Well, yeah, I was going to say, actually, kind of slightly leads on to the next question. Have any of you experienced imposter syndrome, and how have you navigated that?
I think that's something it's present every day. And I don't think that's limited to necessarily being a woman. I think that's just and I'm making my moment. I'm getting out of my own skin this year, getting out of my comfort zone. And I think that owning that and being comfortable, being uncomfortable is something that is important to work on, but to have people who are supportive and celebrate you when you're there, when you're not there, not just in like being present in a formal meeting setting, but support you. And I was thinking about it, like people who you have mentors, and then you have people who are your sponsors and people who are going to really help to advance you wherever you are. And we need more of that. And I feel like very fortunate to have some women in our company who are my like very close friends who I feel are those people who help. And I don't know. I think we need support across the board, but getting out of your comfort zone is the main message. And there's only one way out. It's like when you feel like you're not in the right skin or not feeling comfortable, there's only one way out. Just keep going.
Sure. I think that's a really great point that you made, of like also having those kind of like mentors and people there in the workplace to really kind of help you kind of overcome that, because it is such like a common thing of imposter syndrome. Have any of you had certain like mentors or moments in your professional career that have kind of like, I don't know, helped you sort of be like, yeah, I'm on the right track. I believe in myself and in my position?
I think part of, and I can speak for myself, of course, but I try to keep, in my team, focused on trying different things. I think the more things you experience throughout the whole industry, you have much more of a comfort level, and you develop your playbook along the way. You kind of know what you're seeing. You've seen it before, and I think that it's our responsibility to continue to help folks coming into the industry so that they can, sort of face the fact that you you may have a trajectory you're on. You may feel like you know exactly where you're going to be in 5 years, but sometimes it's good to get off that path and try something a little different. It rounds you out, gives you skill set. You're bringing different things to the table when you join a new firm, and I think that diverse experience is really critical. And I would say I definitely had imposter syndrome when I came to timepieces because it was completely different. But I think that, through experience and applying what you've learned, and what your friends and family and the people in the industry have been so supportive. And I think if you're not in that environment, that's not the environment for you.
I can just tell you, the moment where I kind of clicked out of imposter syndrome is very stark for me. My final role in Pernod Ricard, I essentially worked between two entities, and I got into a lot of C-suite rooms. So, I was at a senior manager level. It was a very big room to be in. I remember being in that room and looking around and thinking, half the people in here are Egypts, like not real Egypts. Like, there's obviously a lot of talent in that room, but kind of seeing them as like, if they can do it, I can do it. And it completely changed my perspective. It's then the universe sent me this role in Beverly Hills and everything's just started moving. But as soon as I kind of got out of my own head and understand that these are just people too, you have a great skill set and you can 100% be one of those people, it completely changed everything for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I think there's a statistic or something that men need to be like 60% confident that they can. Yeah. Take the mic.
No, I want you to keep going.
But yeah, something like men need to be 60% confident that they can take the role to go for it, whereas women need to be 100% confident that they will get it and that they can do it.
So going for this particular role, it was a big jump for me. I was a marketing manager and now I'm a general manager, and the people at Time and Tide obviously believed in me, and there was a person in this room, Michael, who also was very kind and gave me some wise words. And I thought to myself, you know what? I need to go into this thinking the way and love and respect to all the white men in the world, but I need to think like a white man would, and I need to believe in myself as much as they do, because it's incredible some of the confidence that these men have. And it's incredible. So I think we should just adopt their mindset, and if anything, it can be admirable. They do approach things with a lot of confidence and a lot of belief in themselves, and I think that we as women need to do that more as well. And genuinely, when I would sit down, I was ready to pitch myself to the CEO. I was like, be a white man, be a white man, be a white man, and I got the job.
Congratulations. So yeah, I'd love to talk like sort of, is there a like support policy or initiative you wish like was there earlier in your career that would have helped you? Or has anybody got anything to add there?
Well, I think that I have seen a stark difference in the last 10 years working for Citizen. And I think it's because we are starting to blend other industries into the watch. I'm listening to you all and talking about your background, and it's fantastic because watches can be kind of scary. But for our industry, it actually is, we bring in more people from jewelry, from accessories, from apparel, from wherever their experience is. It's actually breaking down a lot of barriers to me. And I see a really nice cross-section in our company in every channel of sales, distribution, marketing, our marketing table over there, all ladies. And, and we've really seen that change. And that has been in the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. Has anybody else got anything to add? Any reforms, policies you wish kind of in the industry now?
I'll give a very corporate perspective on it, but I do think in Pernod Ricard, they had a great program where they would identify talent early. You can see talent, you can see leadership in people quite early on. And, if we're strategic and intentional about women and fast tracking them into appropriate leadership roles, those kind of programs do actually work. And I don't see enough of them.
I would love to see that. It's not formalized, but I know that we have the opportunity to in our generation, and looking at our leadership team, that I'm really proud of the 46% women who hold important seats. I think that we need to make a commitment for that to be the next step and to have the formal sponsorship. And I love the idea of identifying talent early and having a formalized program to help develop a track for that. I think that would be an unbelievable benefit. I love that.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I guess as well, we don't want this to be a kind of like echo chamber, right? Like, what role do you think men in senior leadership play in kind of accelerating that meaningful change?
I think it goes back to that statistic you just gave. They hold majority positions of power. So it is up to them to highlight women, bring women up alongside them. And I think if you find yourself in an organization that doesn't do that, it's probably a good sign that you should find something else. And I feel like, speaking from my own experience, I've stepped into a leadership team that is all men, and they were my advocates, which I found, just really aligned with my values. I'm like, I want to be around men that want to bring women up alongside them, and they don't see gender, they see talent or what that person can bring. Men have a huge role to play.
100%. And so, kind of coming to the end of like my questions for you guys, but I just sort of had a final one. If you could swap roles for a day with anyone in the industry, whether that's CEO, master watchmaker, a marketeer, who would it be and why? Perhaps we can start with Caroline. Would you?
So one of the women who I thoroughly admire in the watch industry has created something that is so interesting and authentic when it comes to community, and that is Hind Siddiqui. And for anybody in this room who's been to Dubai Watch Week, I could not think of a more exciting, inclusive environment where people can fall in love with watches and learn and talk to people and have any intimidation factors just eliminated. And I love the opportunities I've had from being a part of that over time. And just I think it's phenomenal that you have such a smart and powerful woman who's designed that experience. And the team behind it also. So,
Susan, who would you go for?
Well, it's kind of a funny question for me. I'm really absolutely passionate about what I do, and I have worked really hard to get where I am, and I really love it. And when I look around and think, what else would I want to do? It's more of like in retirement. It's not about this industry. What I look at, and it's very passionate to me about raising women up as well. I was the president of the Women's Jewelry Association here in the United States for several years. And for me, it's about what I can now give. So my responsibility in this stage of my career is to make sure that I'm giving back to the women on my team. I'm bringing in women into the watch industry, which is really a critical part for me and my role to play. And so I take it seriously. I'm enjoying my career and thrilled to meet so many wonderful people that have recently joined the industry. It's very, very exciting. So I'm here to keep pushing, and that's what I'd like to do for the next 10 years.
Yeah, we appreciate your support in that. Taylor, have you got anything?
I feel like that was such a good answer. I can't top it. I want to follow that. I feel like there's not enough women in leadership as it is, so I don't want to swap with anyone. I want to be that person and use that to bring other women up alongside me.
Got such an empowering panelist. We love this. What about you, Alice?
I mean, I thought about this one a lot. There's some amazing women. Like, do I want to be Roberta Nass? Do I want to be Georgia Benjamin? I think what she's doing on social is cool. It's amazing. But then I started thinking about kind of brands that inspire me. I was in the FP Journe boutique in Miami recently. They actually have no watches in their boutique because everything is sold through. So it's all prototypes. And the boutique just exists to entertain clients. You can pull a yacht up at the boutique if you want and hang out with the CMO. So, I think that sounds like a nice next step for me, kind of perfect in my trajectory.
100%.
But similar to Taylor, I'm ambitious. I want something big. I want to, I'm here in America to do something impactful in my career. Watch this space.
Amazing. I'd love to open the floor to audience questions now. Does anyone have a question for any of our panelists? Yeah,
I do. Sorry to say it.
Fine.
Hi everyone. This has been so lovely. So, as someone who I own my own business but started part time in retail selling denim at Diesel, uh, you all work for such impactful companies, and I think the retail workers are the backbone of this industry as well. And when it comes to recruiting and when it comes to, women of color as well being in these leadership positions, queer women being in these leadership positions, we can get even more and more granular. But I would love to know if you look to your retail teams to promote people, and if you don't, if that's something that you would consider being in these higher positions and going to retail store workers, because they're some of the best workers in the industry, in my opinion. So, yeah.
I think that's an amazing question. And it really comes down to structure of companies. So I'm happy to say that we have a very active, I'll call it the merchant team out in our stores. We only have one retail store here in Fifth Avenue, but absolutely, it's about recognizing talent. And we are constantly hearing information back. They're the boots on the ground. They're out there in the stores. They're making sure that thing comes in and gets displayed properly. But they really connect directly with the customer, so their information is critical. And yes, absolutely, when we see talent, we're trying to bring that through and the information and share what they're seeing with the organization. I think it's a very good question.
Our store manager is a woman of color, and it's one of my favorite. It wasn't on purpose, but it was one of my favorite things. We were able to put someone wonderful into that position, and we also have other women on the team. And if any single one of them wanted more for themselves, if they wanted to come corporate side, they would be more than welcome to. And I do think the best workplaces that I've always been in are the ones that hire from within and really hero the talent they already have. And the best leaders that I've had are the ones that have worked their way up over time as well. So I do think there's a lot of power in finding the people and the talent that already exists, maybe at a retail level, and promoting them from within. I think I had a wonderful conversation with your colleague, the VP. President, she's done every job there is to do in this industry, and it's probably why she is where she is today, and she's so wonderful at it. So yeah, I think there's a lot of power in there.
Also knowing the business. That's like learning it and having a true understanding of the nuances and how it really comes together. And I think that's a big difference when you hire from within or grow up within a company. It's you have a real understanding of it. It's the best education. And it's interesting. People jump around from other companies or come in for a brief period of time. And I love that there's a lot of longevity of people who really understand the business. If that comes from the retail side or the corporate side or however, they really envelop like an understanding and obsession with what we do and how we connect with people. It's the best path.
Anybody else got any questions for the panel? Right. Well, great. Well, yeah.
So I hear you talk about the consumer often, and I think part of the reason that we don't see as much female presence is because a lot of consumers are male. So what do you think are the trends or the programs that you want to enable to have more female consumership? And I think in that way we could possibly bring in more women into the industry.
Well, I'd love to address that one. Very near and dear to my heart, as my team also heads up product development. With the Apple Watch, brought a loss of interest in timepieces for women. They wanted connection over design and fashion, and I think that we're starting to see that flip a lot. And so, myself and my team are very, very focused on making sure that we are tapping into understanding what she's looking for through demographics, information through our CDP, all of those things, partnering with the marketing team, but to build product that she will appreciate and want at many different price levels. So if we aren't putting it out there, she's not thinking about timepieces. Maybe she's graduating school and she's thinking about timepieces now because she bought one for herself, and then she's interested in the industry. You never know. And so I think it's for us to make it very accessible, comfortable. Watches can't be scary. but they can certainly be very functional and fashion. And I think we're starting to tip it back into that. So it's our responsibility to bring her along with that.
I'll build on that purely from a product perspective and kind of what's happening in the Roger de Vuitton Maison. We have a ladies collection coming for the first time in a long time. There was a lot of women involved in the development of that. So at the product level, it wasn't that we took a collection we had and made it pink, which I've seen a lot in the spirits industry as well. But, you know, they were involved in the product development, and the hope is that this beautiful collection comes to life and women are just gravitate towards it. It's beautiful. I mean, I know I'm biased, but yeah, I think understanding that women need to be at every level of what you're creating in order to bring someone into a product, a brand, a maison.
I also think on the event side, we need to encourage people to, if it's not the woman collector, to bring your wife, to bring your girlfriend, bring your partner, bring your people who want to learn and show that it's open. I think they need to see it and be a part of it from the beginning. And we had a small collectors dinner last night, and just saying there was one couple at the table, several men, and we can hold our own when talking about watches and about collecting, and like we're probing them, asking questions. What are their wives into? What are the watches they're into? And it's just, we have to have more of those conversations and show that it's fun. Bring your wife next time. Like, make this something that's open and enjoyable.
Amazing. I think we have time for one more question, if anybody has anything to add. No?
Thank you. Building off of the last question, I'm curious from your perspective, what brands are really reaching women in watches? Like, who's doing a great job? Who do you think that is leading the way in that respect?
Cartier.
I think Patek also does a phenomenal job. And if you look at the complications for women and gram comps for women, things that are coming into the collecting sphere, I think it's fantastic. Both modern and the vintage side. I think I found my next watch. So.
Yeah, but you can see we're not shouting a whole list of brands here. So I think the answer is that there is some great pieces out there for women, but there's probably a long way to go in the industry. A long way. It's an opportunity area.
I think too, many times it happens at the very high end, and I think we need to make it a little more democratic and create product that can really stand the longevity of time. Obviously, women like to buy things that they hold on to and love, but it doesn't have to be, as expensive. And I think getting that price point array built throughout the industry is really, really important to garner the consumer for the long term.
Fab. Well, yeah, can we have a round of applause for our panelists? Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. So we're going to take a very short 5-minute break in case you want to grab any more drinks and things, and then we'll bring on our second panel. Thank you.